Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Wrestlelite. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marc Cologne on Wrestlelite, where we will talk about the Royal Rumble, MARCARUMBLE 3, and so much more. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget MARCARUMBLE. Well, I botched it, but MARCARUMBLE will be happening before WrestleMania once again. But Mark a Rumble, right? Is part 3 is this is the show. This is the show it's happening on. I'm very excited. Royal Rumble is in a few hours. Have not gotten any sleep yet, and I must get some sleep, man. So we're gonna do this podcast. We're gonna talk about professional wrestling, and then I am absolutely 100% undoubtedly will get the sleep that I so heartedly deserve. You know what I mean? But man, I'm excited for it. I cannot wait for the Royal Rumble. I wasn't excited necessarily, like that excited for it, and then it happened. And then it happened, man. I started getting excited for it. I started to think about the possibilities. And I just, oh my goodness, I was like, man, this is going to be really, really good. And yeah, that's what the thought is right now. That's what the game plan should be of, man, this is going to be really, really good. Now, we'll see what happens. Because granted, this can go so many ways. We could be disappointed, but this might be the 1 year where we don't get disappointed. In all honesty, we might not get disappointed this year, right? Like, now the winners might be disappointing, but as far as like who could be there, who the surprises are going to be, like, yeah, like, dude, like, this can be a really fun time for WWE. Like, this event could be really, really fun. I'm super pumped for it. I'm super excited. And I can't wait. I cannot wait for this show. But yeah. So we're going to be talking about Raw, NXT, Dynamite. So I really didn't get to the SmackDown or Collision part. So we're not going to do that, but we can talk about that next week. But yeah, Monday Night Raw happened, right? We seen, CM Punk versus AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship match, but it was ended in DQ after Finn Balor got involved. I understand what they did or why they did it. Like, I do get it. It just makes me mad. Like, even if Styles did lose this match, like, so what? Like who cares? Right? Like, AJ Styles is almost on his way out. Like, give us what we want, man. Like, let this finish in a clean style. Don't take that away from us, right? And honestly, like, it should have never ended like this. It shouldn't have. But it is what it is, right? Like, this is what WWE is tended to do on a Raw or SmackDown nowadays, and it's just like, man, like, y'all could have took this one home. Like, y'all could have had fans more excited if you didn't have the DQ finish. Like, I mean, you just gotta imagine. You gotta say to yourselves, like, imagine if they would have been like, you know what? Let's actually go with the finish. Let's see what the fans say about this after CM Punk defeats AJ Styles, right? And you kind of could have had like that type of you know, situation. But in all honesty, they decided not to, right? And okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. But like, come on, man. You had an opportunity. You had it. It was right there. It was right there. But you decided not to do anything with it, you know? And it sucks. You know, it sucks. Um we know, the whole story about AJ, right? We've heard it, we've seen it all about AJ Styles potentially retiring after the Royal Rumble, right? Like AJ Styles said 2026 was his last year. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, but when I meant that, it was like it's over, like tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like what? And it kind of, it sucks in a way because of who AJ Styles is. Like I said, one of the reasons I fell in love with professional wrestling was because I watched AJ Styles wrestle. Like AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Do you understand the influence this man had on professional wrestling? Like it's like no other. There's not many, and there really won't be many to really captivate many like that, like he did in TNA or in New Japan or wherever he wrestled at, right? Like, and even in WWE, he was just a different entity, but like it never kind of got that flavor that it did in New Japan or in TNA because WWE underused him. And I understand a lot of people might not think like that or believe it when it comes out of my mouth and these words go through my lips. But in all honesty, it's absolute truth, and I know a lot of people, they, they say possibly AJ Styles could be headed to AEW. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I wouldn't be surprised by it. And the reason is, he filed his trademarks, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, all that good stuff. I just don't think AJ Styles says, 2026 is my last year, and then, like, he's just going to retire fully, you know what I mean? Like, and then he's going to retire tomorrow, you know what I mean? Maybe he's done with WWE. And hey, maybe he doesn't go to AEW, right? Maybe he doesn't take that. He doesn't have, like, one final match with Kenny and Will, and, has a match with Swerve, right? And Hangman, and some of those great guys out there, like MJF. Maybe he doesn't go out and win a AEW World title, right? Maybe he doesn't go to Double or Nothing, right? Or Forbidden Door and win the AEW Championship from MJF. Like, maybe he just goes to TNA, he wins the TNA World Championship, and then he calls it a career, right? Like, yes, that can all be possibilities, but I honestly think if this was the AJ from 2 to 3 years ago, I'd say, nah, he's going to retire with WWE. But I think he's looked at how WWE has kind of treated him in the past 2 to 3 years. I think he was expecting to have one last great run, and he hasn't gotten that, not only because of booking issues. I think it also has to do with the injuries and, all of that. But I honestly think there's going to be a time where he's done with WWE on Saturday and he goes to AEW. I think that's a very well possibility. Like, I just feel like if he was going to TNA, he wouldn't be taking these goodbye pictures. Like he's going with TNA, somebody WWE is working with, and maybe he would still, and we'll see, we'll find out. But I just don't see a scenario like that, right? And I don't expect him to go to AEW quick. I think he's gonna have his match with Gunther at the Rumble. He's going to then he's going to enjoy a kind of a 2 week hiatus, and he'll show up for a Grand Slam. In my opinion, that's how I would do things, but we will see. Right? Obviously, this puts, after what happened on Monday night, obviously we're going to be looking at Finn Balor versus CM Punk once again. Maybe at the Elimination Chamber, maybe at a Monday Night Raw. It's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, Balor is going to get another shot at CM Punk. Maybe he's going to go through the Rumble. Maybe he'll go through the Elimination Chamber, right? We'll have to just wait and see. Again, maybe it's just Raw. Austin Theory beating on Rey Mysterio continues his rebuild. It not only does it continue his rebuild, it also makes the division look strong, and as they get closer to Mania. Rey Mysterio obviously dealt with injury, but he did travel to Saudi Arabia, so that's like, okay, whatever. It makes you just kind of say to yourself, like, okay, yep, he's good. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just traveling to support guys, but maybe he is good. We'll have to kind of, wait and see with that whole situation. But, I love what they're doing Austin right now. Braun Breaker being reinstated into the Royal Rumble keeps him looking dangerous, right? Adam Pearce apologized. He did all those great things. But when it comes to this, right? Adam Pearce, you better watch yourself, buddy. Because, like, whoever Paul Heyman has been calling, hey, that guy has some juice. Because if, Paul Heyman's like, hey, you don't want me to call this guy. And when everybody's just, like, scared that Paul Heyman's actually going to call this guy, it makes you wonder, like, okay, who is this guy that we're talking about? You know what I mean? And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Alpha Academy became the number one contenders. Was the DQ the right call, or did WWE fumble a rare Punk versus Styles moment? Right? And that's a good point. Did they, right? I think it possibly was the right move, just because if Styles is retiring, like, that match made no sense. But then again, you could have made the match a non-title match. Like, he still could have had Balor interfere after the match, whatever. But I do, from the standpoint of, like, you're going into the Rumble, you want neither man to look weak, right? Like, I understand that from that point. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough ask. It's a tough situation, right? But we'll we'll see. We'll see for sure. The aftermath of the Rumble. Um, we've seen Dark State retain the NXT tag titles. Um, Super excited for the NXT Championship ladder match qualifiers. That's going to be pretty interesting, pretty fun to see. Canoe Carver continues to get spotlight. Clearly, someone they see big things in, which I think we could kind of all agree on. You got to build stars. You got to, Alba's gone, right? You got some other guys that fizzles out, like Javon. Javon's gone as well. So, like, yeah, you have, like, you have Ricky Saints. You have Ethan Page. Tony D'Angelo. Like, you do have some guys still there, but you do wonder. You just have to wonder to yourself, right? Like, can they be main event type of guys, right? Maybe that's why they're trying to, also, maybe that, or it could be too, like, you always want to make sure you have a good 4 to 10 guys that you'd be like, yeah, this is main event type guy. A main event type guy. Might not happen now, but it could happen in the future. And NXT was really good this week. Doing some really, really good stuff as well, which I love. AEW Dynamite. Andrade beating Swerve Strickland, I thought was amazing. Right? Like, I think we all knew it was kind of a possibility, right? I just don't think we actually thought it would actually happen. Which, it's like, okay, well, he actually did it, right? And now, he gets to face Kenny, and that should be interesting in itself. But, I'm super stoked for Andrade. Like, he's looking like $1 million right now. I know a lot of people are, he always starts out like this and then he fizzles out, right? Like, guys, we just got to be patient with this. We live in a world where everything, I don't know if it's because of the internet or fans are just more patient than ever. We got to let things play out. You're not always going to be on top. There's going to be a time and a place where you have to take your time. You have to let things play out for themselves. I honestly, I don't want to be one of those guys that's like, this push will mean nothing. No, I think it means something. That's for sure. It means something. I would definitely I wouldn't have Kenny face MJF just yet. I would definitely wait till either Revolution or Double or Nothing. I'd have Andrade face MJF maybe. Do something, you know what I mean? But I'd have, especially if you're gonna have Kenny win, all right? Now here's the thing. Here's where I would change my tone. If AJ Styles is going to AEW, then okay, you can have Kenny face him whenever. Because then I think MJF should defeat Kenny. Unless, and this is a big unless you want AJ Styles to dethrone Kenny. And then Will dethrones AJ. Then I think you should still wait for at least Revolution or Double or Nothing. But then again, I would say at least Revolution for Kenny, because you don't want to wait too long and then AJ doesn't have a long run with the title and then Will just takes it off of him. Now, there's two scenarios you could do with this, right? AJ could either show up at Revolution or he could show up at Grand Slam. But that also means what Will does, right? Now, if Will doesn't, I would say I would wait till like Revolution for Will. Or Double or Nothing, I think would be another one. But isn't that when the tournament starts? I don't know. I we'll have to see because it hasn't been announced yet either. So it will be very interesting to see that. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it, especially the possibilities of AJ Styles does make the move. If he does switch, you know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be huge. Not only for AEW, but for AJ Styles as well. Chris Statlander. She continues to look dominant as women's champion. FTR is holding on to the tag titles, keeps that division grounded. We've seen Tommaso Ciampa debut in AEW as a Psycho Killer. And then him immediately targeting the TNT title gives Collision and Dynamite must-watch energy. So a few things Chris Statlander didn't think should be as good as a AEW Women's Champion that she is right now. She's doing she's doing some really good stuff with that with that title. FTR's keeping it warm for Cope and Christian Cage, obviously, and Tommaso Ciampa. My goodness, Tommaso Ciampa. So we've kind of figured like Tommaso was going to, right, like he was going to be in AEW, right? We didn't know for sure, but it did kind of feel like that's what they were going to do. And we didn't exactly know, right? Like we didn't know for sure until we seen him this Wednesday, and good for him, man. Good for him. Honestly, this is amazing for Ciampa. Obviously, it does suck because like you hate that him and Johnny got split up and stuff like that, but it is honestly great that we get this. And we'll see we'll see what happens with Ciampa going forward. But man, this was a great signing for him. It really was. Again, we'll see what happens. But it should be very interesting. Some other stuff that's been happening. Let's see. SmackDown. So what was I going to talk about it? But just in case, I don't want to forget about it either. So yeah, SmackDown last night. Cody Rhodes, he kicked off the show hyping up his plans for the Royal Rumble after losing the undisputed WWE title earlier this month. He talked about winning the Rumble for a third time, but the crowd had mixed reactions. Randy then interrupted, reminding Cody that he's also a two-time Royal Rumble winner, planting seeds for tension going into the match. And we've kind of been wanting the Randy and Cody match for some time. I think we've kind of been asking for it since Randy returned, right? So it's definitely, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I'll say that that we're gonna get it. I don't know if we'll get it at this WrestleMania, but the Royal Rumble should tell us if we're gonna get it or not. Should give us some sort of hints. We seen Carmelo Hayes defeat Rey Fenix to retain the United States Championship. We see Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defeat Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez. We've seen Axiom versus Johnny Gargano. Axiom defeated Gargano and regained his mask. Ilya Dragunov versus The Miz. Ilya Dragunov won by pinfall. And then you had an 8-man tag team match: Jey Uso, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, and Cody Rhodes versus Division. The match ended in a DQ after Drew McIntyre attacked Sami Zayn. After the match, McIntyre continued to assault Sami Zayn, which brought out Jacob Fatu, who ambushed McIntyre. Sami and Cody both reached for the WWE title, teasing big stakes, and personal conflict going into the Royal Rumble. Before the show went off the air, Braun Breaker laid out both men with spears, ending SmackDown with him standing tall. So a lot to take in here. A lot to take in. We also seen during the show on SmackDown, the WWE confirmed Damian Priest, Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Ilya Dragunov, and The Miz will be in the Royal Rumble, with 21 names being announced, which I don't like at all. I hope no more names get announced, just so the rest can kind of be surprises. Like, we seen that Braun supposedly number one. Like, that was already spoiled. Look, man, this is difficult for me to say. it should be fun. It should absolutely 100% be a fun pay-per-view. I honestly don't know what's gonna happen in the Rumble. Like, this is the first time. Like, anybody that tells you the Rumble doesn't feel like the Rumble. This week just made you feel like it, and the fact that Finn Balor isn't allowed in the Rumble match because it's stacked, it's already full, and guys like Damian Priest are allowed in. That's just bizarre to me. That is so wrong. And unbelievable. But there's some fun stuff that's gonna happen, man. Really, some really, really fun, good stuff are about to happen when it comes to, what potentially could happen as the Royal Rumble starts and all of that stuff. I'm excited for it though. It should be good. It should be fun. We also seen Brock Lesnar has been added to the Royal Rumble. There has been a rumor swirling about possibly doing Brock versus Roman again. Supposedly being reported that Nikki Bella might be working in Saudi. Week finished, but Raw had some really good stuff. NXT was consistent and you felt the hunger. AEW was focused and storyline driven. Anybody tells you that AEW isn't about storylines, you can just show them this past AEW's Dynamite. Right, like wrestling isn't perfect, but they're building to something big and very interesting, especially, WWE getting ready for WrestleMania. AEW, they're going to start building towards All In the summer. And I know we're far away from it, but next thing you know, it will be that time. I mean, we're about to be in February, so that just tells you everything you need to know. So, in my opinion, I think it's it's very interesting. It's very fun. I do have some other stuff I want to talk to you guys about before we hit on the Royal Rumble. So let's talk about it, man. Evil is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. It looks like he is headed to WWE. That's what some of the reports are saying. So that should be interesting to say the least. Very, very interesting. WWE has also filed the trademark Judas, which is related to Chris Jericho. Seth Rollins reportedly will be on daddy duty and will not be in Saudi or at the Royal Rumble. After ESPN kind of spoiled that, but we'll see what happens. Tommaso Ciampa also discusses his decision to sign with AEW. He said, if I wrestled in the 90s, I'd want to be part of ECW. Early 2000s, you want to be part of Ring of Honor. I was lucky I got to do that a little bit. 2010s, I think, for me at least, I wanted to be a part of the NXT Black and Gold. And when I look at the landscape of professional wrestling in the 2020s, the answer was AEW, man. That's what I want to be a part of. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Jim Ross says he believes Powerhouse Hobbs will be in the Royal Rumble. I don't know if it's a secret or not. He'll be in the Royal Rumble. I think why in the H would you sign a guy this close to that major event and then not utilize him? And that'll be a new face, and he looks great. He called me a day or two ago thanking me for my help over the years. I said, well, my phone number isn't going to change, big fella. Ethan Page says he misses the old unique sets for WWE events. Bring the SmackDown fist back. I'm a big fan of the old sets because you end up getting his play set out of it, and it's very fun. I mean, the video screens are very nice because you can put my face on there. Very, very bright. I just definitely miss the old school stuff, but I'm just like a nostalgia dork. I don't blame you, Ethan. I would say as well. I'm kind of a nostalgia dork as well then, because I mean, like let's be honest for a second. Like, um, I think we kind of all miss that in a way. Um, it's interesting because I definitely missed out those things as well. Definitely missed the nostalgia of it all. Um, MJF says there is no bad blood between wrestlers in different companies. As far as Adam Copeland, John Moxley, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, these guys aren't turning around and saying, bleep that other company. They're not in real life. I'm sorry. They're just looking for a place to hang their hat. And then you have certain guys who feel very passionate about the company they're in, and they would never want to leave. Everybody's different. Everybody looks at professional wrestling different. Some people look at it as I love professional wrestling, but I love the money more. So I'm gonna go to this place. Some people care more about the creative side of things and feeling free as both as an entertainer, an artist, and as a professional athlete. What I will say is there's no bad blood between the boys and the companies. It just doesn't exist. Great stuff by MJF there. For a long time, I had to listen to people tell me not so much directly to my face, but more online, that 2018 was prime Ciampa. I'm 100 times better now than I was then. That was nothing. That was absolutely nothing. I'm physically better. I'm mentally sharper. My storytelling, my physiology is on a whole different level than it was back then. What people are about to see is going to blow their minds. It's going to shock the world because I finally have a shot to find out if I'm as good as I think I am. So yeah, that happened. And then WWE sources believe that they expect Pat McAfee to be back in the company very, very soon. Also, we talked about it earlier. AJ Styles filed to renew trademarks on the phenomenal AJ Styles and his P1 logo. Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo next week, with implications of the AEW World Championship on the line. Yes, Tommaso Ciampa is officially all elite. And Cody Rhodes was named Pro Wrestling's Illustrated Wrestler of the Year by readers, and he also earned Match of the Year for his SummerSlam bout versus John Cena. I don't necessarily agree with that, obviously. If you agree with that, I think it's perfectly fine. I don't think anybody's gonna crucify you. Well, they would. I'm not gonna say they wouldn't. They absolutely would. But in my opinion, I don't think Cody Rhodes was the best wrestler this year. I also don't think Cody Rhodes versus John Cena at SummerSlam was the best match of the year either. So, but again, this is just my opinion. You could take it however you want. Seth Rollins says one of his biggest regrets of wrestling is that the Shield Triple Threat took place at Battleground 2016 instead of headlining WrestleMania. Rollins said that he, Roman, and Dean all pushed back on the idea, but Vince McMahon wasn't on board. Seth also confirmed he won't be in Saudi this Saturday. He's staying home to be on solo daddying duty while Becky is away. Being a present father is the only thing that matters. I think it's amazing. But I don't, honestly, I don't believe Seth. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't believe him for 1 second. I firmly believe Seth will be there. But again, we'll see. The triple threat not happening at WrestleMania will probably be one of the biggest regrets of all time, especially if these guys never get to have that match, whether it's an AEW or WWE. That's just kind of going to be a bummer. But, AEW was made for guys like Jon Moxley. That's why, I do think eventually, whether it's just the Hall of Fame induction or he does come back for a few years, I do see Jon Moxley eventually returning to WWE. But again, we will see. Someone said John Cena has the opportunity to do the funniest thing at the Royal Rumble, and if we think about it, yes, his infamous return at the Rumble after being out. He had gotten injured, and it looked like he was going to be out for so long, and then he returns 4 months after. My goodness, one of the biggest and best returns of all time. Some people that potentially we could see jumping ship to WWE, TNA, right, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Some other promotions out there, Chris Jericho, Britt Baker, Anna Jay, Private Party, Camille, Danhausen. We know WWE's interest in Chris Jericho and Danhausen. Their interest in Camille before she signed with the AEW. They really haven't done anything with her since, her stint with Mercedes. Maybe they have, I just haven't seen it. But we could be looking at, there's another one. Private Party would be a good one, but WWE's not really doing anything with the Street Profits. So what would they do with the Private Party, right? And then we got to look at Anna Jay, Britt Baker. Would WWE be interested in them, or would they have to kind of have sign a 1 to 2 year deal at TNA, at New Japan, and kind of prove it? That'd be interesting as well to see. Biggest free agents right now would have to be Dakota Kai, Steve Macklin, Saraya, Evil, Drilla, Maloney, Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd. Be very, very interesting to see if we see any of these guys at the Royal Rumble. I don't necessarily think so, just because it's in Saudi. If you're able to do it, awesome. But I just don't think that's going to be a real possibility to get done. So I'll just say, I think, after they come back from Saudi, we'll see what happens. Roman Reigns said on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, "We are 2 years here now. We haven't advanced. We haven't evolved. We have great leadership, Nick Khan, but God bless them. But we have to keep up creatively. So, Roman isn't wrong, right? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Creatively, WWE is not the best right now. And Roman Reigns has said, I know some people are like, oh, he's a character or whatever, but it's like, why would that come out of Roman's mouth and him being a character? That just made no sense to me. I didn't necessarily understand why that would, mean he's kind of in character. I definitely didn't get that part of it, but hey, that's what the fans were trying to push. That's the agenda that the fans were trying to make me understand. So it was whatever. It was okay. You know what I mean? I wasn't, I was just like, whatever. Yeah, sure, buddy. But, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of happens with this. With Roman saying this, because this isn't the only person that has said it, right? Unless they're going to do an authority or a management type angle with Roman, right? Maybe this is kind of him planting his seeds to basically kind of calling out The Rock, maybe. All right, but if it's not, this is an alarming look for Roman in WWE. But man, we'll see. They could be working all of this right now. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they were, just because that's how good WWE does things. Now, as far as the signings, if I had to say, I could see Saraya going to WWE. I think Dakota Kai is kind of waiting and hoping WWE gives her another call. Steve Macklin, I guess he going to like a WWE. Gabe Kidd, David Finlay, Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney. I could see them going to AEW or re-signing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then Evil, I could see he's definitely going to WWE. So those are some names out there. We'll see. Roman calls out creative for not making new stars. And guess who decided to announce that they were leaving WWE today? Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter. So we're going to talk about that because she did make a post. And she said, this past Tuesday was my last appearance on NXT. And subsequently, WWE, thank you all who have cheered, watched, and supported me through my journey. While my decision to not renew my contract was very difficult, also a new turning point in my life. It has been an honor and a privilege to be Ava. And this is very interesting as well, because, I was thinking about this, and maybe this is just me reading into the lines, me just reading into it a little too much. But I was just thinking for some time, for a minute, last night, because I said, wow, this came out of nowhere. Roman, does what he did on the Pat McAfee show, right? And, he made a joke of, can't believe Brock knew how to work FaceTime. Who knew that, right? I thought that was great. But, Ava basically kind of resigning and saying, like, hey, I'm not renewing my contract with you guys. It makes you wonder, maybe she wanted to wrestle, right? Maybe WWE didn't see that in her. Makes you wonder, could she go to AEW? Could she go to TNA? Could she go to New Japan, right? Is wrestling in her blood? Does she want to continue to do wrestling? Because obviously it is in her blood. I mean, from her great-grandfather to grandfather to her father, and her entire family, that's all they do. So obviously it's in her blood. It's what she wants to do. It's what she loves to do. It'll just be very interesting to see if that's what Ava does, right? Like, does she go to another company, or does she kind of hold out and have hope that WWE will come to their senses and possibly work with her? Or maybe she just doesn't want to wrestle or deal with the life of the WWE superstar. Maybe she just wants to, do her own kind of independent thing. I honestly, I don't know, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Also on Collision on Saturday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, they'll be in Arlington, Texas, where we'll see Mark Briscoe versus Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT Championship. We're going to see Babes of Wrath putting their AEW Women's World Championship, World Tag Team Championships on the line against Sisters of Sin. We're going to see Kazuchika Okada versus Adam Priest for the AEW International Championship. We're going to see the Rascals versus CRU. And we're also going to see Darby Allin versus Clark Connors. So a pretty stacked AEW Collision card. Honestly, it looks like an amazing Collision card, to be honest. If Darby and Clark are they're gonna tear the house down. The Rascals versus CRU. That's gonna be a pretty fun match. Tag team action match. Okada, he should retain, and that should be fun as well. as he has officially returned to AEW television and is doing some really fun stuff there. I would love to see Sisters of Sin win these titles. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen just yet. I think Babes of Wrath, right? I believe they're going to, retain the titles. Two belts, two belt Willow over here. Willow, two belts, right? Like TBS in one half of the tag titles. Like, she's just living her best life. She's living her dream right now. I just think Babes of Wrath could absolutely 100% retain these titles with no hesitation. But if Sisters of Sin were to knock them off and win these titles, I think that wouldn't be necessarily a terrible decision as well, right? Julia Hart, Sky Blue, they kind of need something to do, right? We know that now there's a tag team forming between Jamie Hayter and I don't want to say Will Ospreay's wife, because that is just terrible to say. I definitely don't like saying stuff like that, because I mean that is his wife. Like, let's not overdo it, but I feel like you definitely have to say her name. Alex Windsor, right? They're both tag teaming now, which honestly I think is absolutely amazing. I think that's great. Man, I absolutely love that for those two young women. They could kind of, just do their own thing, which is honestly, again, it's amazing. I love it. I don't know what we're going to be expecting with that, but it could be a great time. It really could. And then obviously you have Mark Briscoe defending his title against Tommaso Ciampa. Man, this is going to be really interesting. Right? Do you have Ciampa lose? Do you have Briscoe win? Right? Right, you're going to have Briscoe retain the title. You're going to have Tommaso Ciampa win the championship, right? Like, this is, in all seriousness, this is kind of a tough decision for AEW in a way, right? I think those two last matches are kind of tough decisions for AEW, because, not saying it could make or break the TV show, but I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that whatever the decision is, it could absolutely be like, oh, like, that was the right move, or, right? Because, like, do you want to have Tommaso losing his first match? Do you want to have that? Do you want to have Mark Briscoe lose the title to somebody on his first match in AEW? Right? And then you look at, Babes of Wrath. Do you want to take the titles off of them now? You want to wait a little longer? Do you think Sisters of Sin will be able to kind of uphold their bargain of becoming the champs? It's a lot. It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. But we'll see what happens in Collision. Again, you got the Royal Rumble, you have Collision. Got some pretty good wrestling. Javon Evans also reflects on his time in AEW. He said, yeah, we was a tag team. We had a six-man that was AEW Dark, just basically something to showcase people that they're looking at. At the time, it was mentioned that at the point in Evans' career, it must have been a big deal. And he replied, for sure. I know they wouldn't let me do anything till I turned 18. My first goal was like, hey, WWE is probably not going to pick me up because I'm so young, so I just want to get signed as long as I can get signed to a company at 18 years old. So AEW was those opportunities that I accepted to be like, let's get my name out there so I can get signed. They went well. They didn't pick me up, but there were opportunities that I took advantage of. He was on a podcast with Cheap Heat, on the Cheap Heat podcast with Rosenberg Radio. Peter Rosenberg, I believe. But yeah, those are all the news there. Let's talk about the The Royal Rumble now. Let's talk about it. I'm super excited for this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Super, super excited for this. All right, so let's do it. I'll pull up the Royal Rumble match card real quick, and to end the show. This is to end the show, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, you have the WWE 2026 Royal Rumble match card. This pay-per-view starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time because it is in Saudi Arabia. You have the men's Royal Rumble match, the women's Royal Rumble match. You have Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship. You have AJ Styles versus Gunther. If Styles loses, he must retire. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be real with you. I know last year we seen we seen Jey Uso eliminate John Cena to win the Royal Rumble match. We seen Charlotte Flair win the women's, right? I believe that's who. Right? Was it Charlotte that won the women's in 2025? I believe that was it. Let's see. Yes, Charlotte Flair was the women's winner. So, yes, let's talk about this. AJ Styles versus Gunther. If AJ Styles loses, he must retire. I think Gunther wins. I don't see a scenario where AJ Styles wins. Maybe if there's some interference, some help, maybe possibly. But I think if you're not getting that, then yes, Gunther's gonna win. But let's say, for some reason somebody comes in and interferes and helps AJ. Well, I think that's a different story. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Gunther wins it. Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship. If Drew McIntyre had been holding this title for quite some time, or if Cody Rhodes was the champion, I'd be like, yeah, there's a good possibility that Sami would win. I honestly think you have to look at the Rumble. You have to look at the Elimination Chamber for a spot for Sami. I think he's going to lose to Drew in this match. Granted, I would love Sami to win it, especially in Saudi. And maybe he does, right? Like, we don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe Jacob Fatu costs him the championship. We'd have to wait and see. But I have Drew winning. I have Drew retaining the undisputed championship. I think you have the women's Royal Rumble. I think there's going to be enough surprises, a lot of good stuff. I think the men's Royal Rumble match will be more entertaining, more fun than the women's. I don't know. I think they'll have the bigger name surprises and stuff like that. I think, in my opinion, the men's will. But for the women's, I think Bianca Belair. I think Bianca Belair returns. She wins the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I'm going to say you have to look at Bianca. You have to look at Rhea Ripley. You have to look at Io Sky, right? These are some Liv Morgan. I think Bianca Belair, and then my dark horse would be Liv Morgan. Another dark horse... Another dark horse for me would have to be not only Liv Morgan, but Roxanne Perez. But I think Bianca wins. And then the men's Royal Rumble match. Man, you got Roman Reigns, you have Brock Lesnar, you have Braun Breaker, you have Cody Rhodes, you have Randy Orton, right? You have Javon Evans, possibly Chris Jericho, Oba Femi is in it. Possibly Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Like, you have all these different things playing factor into who could win it, right? Kevin Owens reportedly won't be there. Sami Zayn, if he doesn't beat Drew McIntyre, will be in the match. Gunther reportedly will be in the match. So many things. Maybe we'll see a face-off between Gunther and Brock Lesnar. I think that would be pretty cool as well. But if I have to decide, if I have to choose the winner, I'd say Braun Breaker wins the Royal Rumble and challenges CM Punk at WrestleMania. If not, I think Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble. If I had to pick a dark horse, I would say, if I had to pick a dark horse, I don't want to say Cody. I'm not going to say Cody. I don't want to say Roman because he's not really a dark, but I'll say Roman. But if I had to pick another dark horse, I'll say Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn's another one as well that he can kind of shock the world and win the Royal Rumble. You know, he loses to Drew, but then he wins the Royal Rumble, right? I think that would be an amazing, amazing thing. So it'll definitely be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see. I also love the Royal Rumble because you see some of these NXT call-ups. You see some legends, right? Or new hires. I think you're going to see that in the men's match, like new hires. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Other stuff is being said. Multiple outlets say NXT star JC Jane traveled with WWE to Saudi Arabia and is expected to be one of the surprise entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble match. Ibu, as self-made pro, claims that AJ Styles' WWE contract ends in February. Styles absolutely planned to go to AEW before he signed a one-year contract extension with WWE last year. Ibu speculates that AJ will have his last WWE match at the Royal Rumble and then turn up in other places like TNA or AEW. Self-Made Pro also mentioned that Andrade's AEW booking is changing on the fly because he is rapidly raising his profile in the eyes of the people that run AEW. Sounds like they're starting to see him as a main event level performer. Also, during an interview on the Sal Licata show, Seth Rollins said the original plan for the Shield's breakup included a one-on-one match between Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 30 with Rollins as the special referee. That idea was luckily nixed when WWE later randomly booked the Shield in a triple threat match against each other at a Battleground pay-per-view. All three members fought against the idea and argued that the match deserved a proper build for a WrestleMania main event. However, they were overruled by our overlord at the time, who is no longer part of this organization, who is obviously known as Vince McMahon. Obviously, we talked about that earlier, but that gave a little bit more insight on it. Wrestling Observer's Live, Brian Alvarez heard that WWE told the wrestlers to post fewer photos on social media this week from Saudi Arabia in order to avoid a scenario where a Royal Rumble spoiler is accidentally shown in the background. The Wrestling Observer newsletter says the financial offer Tony Khan made to try keeping Hobbs in AEW was higher than anyone but Chris Jericho earned in AEW's first year in 2019, and nearly triple of what many significantly high WWE stars were making around that time. This shows how much having a promotional war has increased salaries. Fightful Select indicates that WWE planned for Powerhouse Hobbs, a.k.a. Royce Keys, to be in Saudi Arabia this week after recently signing him. It's worth noting that he didn't travel with a group of wrestlers that flew to Saudi Arabia after this week's episode of Raw. And honestly, I wouldn't expect him to, especially if he's going to be in a surprise entrant. If he's going to be a surprise showing, you definitely don't want him to just pop up, right? Like you want to make it a surprise. You want it to be a surprise. So I do love that they kind of just, okay, we're going to have you wait over here, Maybe you come in later on, maybe kind of probably what Seth is going to do as well. And I think I think that's an amazing idea. That's a very smart idea. And I cannot wait to see how that all plans out, how the Royal Rumble plans out. I feel like it's going to be an amazing pay-per-view. It's going to be an amazing time. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy these moments. Even though you might not think when the Royal Rumble is over, you might not see it as a big moment at that moment. Later on, you know, as a year from now or even after Mania or during Mania, you might say, wow, the Royal Rumble definitely did change landscape, right? Like last year when I was watching WrestleMania, I thought about that. Like Jey Uso literally won the Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso eliminating John Cena to win the Royal Rumble changed John Cena's path. Like, yes, he still defeated Cody to win the championship at WrestleMania, but he eventually turned heel because he knew that was the only way he was going to be able to break Ric Flair's record, to be able to get where he wanted to get to ultimately. And I think that's a very huge deal. I think that's a big deal. And hopefully, you know, we get more stuff like that in the future. And hopefully we get more stuff like that at the Rumble, you know, especially in this year's Rumble, especially it being in Saudi. Like, not many are excited for it. Not many know what to think about it. So hopefully they can do right and they can build up some stars in the making, have some surprises, stuff like that. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. This is a Marc Cologne on Wrestlelite. I cannot wait to do this. Until next time, enjoy the Royal Rumble. Enjoy wrestling overall. It's a great time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys appreciated Marcomania 3. And, you know, don't forget, if you don't see some surprises now, don't be surprised if you see some during the week as well. Because that's just how WWE operates. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a fan, right? It's a great time to be a fan. Man, just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Come along. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marc Cologne. This is the one, the only, the Marc Cologne. And I cannot wait to do this again with you guys. Until next time, next week. And don't forget this Monday, they'll be in Philadelphia, PA. So maybe we do see some returns or something cool. All right. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Goodbye.